If you want to build muscle, rest for 1 to 2 minutes, and if you want to gain strength, rest for 3 to 5 minutes, most of the time. Okay, so that was the short answer. Now let's talk about the longer, more complicated answer. The answer that's going to help you decide when to take short rest periods and when to rest longer. But first, I want you to give me a minute to explain to you how the human body utilizes energy for work. So your body basically needs ATP to work. And there are 3 energy systems that provide you with ATP. Number 1 is the phosphagen energy system. Now, the phosphagen energy system provides you with a quick burst of ATP for a very little amount of time, say about 10 to 20 seconds. So let's say you're doing a 1 rep max on squats. You need a lot of energy for that 1 rep. So your body will utilize the phosphagen energy system for energy. Second up is the anaerobic energy system, the energy system that uses your glycogen reserves for energy. Now, this one is a little bit different. It provides you a moderate amount of ATP for a little longer, say about 30 seconds to 3 minutes. So for example, if you're doing a set of bicep curls for 10 to 20 reps, you're probably going to take around 40 to 60 seconds to complete that set. And that is where your body will utilize the anaerobic energy system. Third up is the aerobic energy system, the energy system that burns carbs and fats in the presence of oxygen to provide energy. Now this one is completely different. It provides you very little amount of ATP for a very long time. So for example, if you're jogging, running, cycling at a steady pace, your body is going to utilize energy from the aerobic energy system. Okay, so now let's talk about the $1,000,000 question. How long should you rest between sets? And let's start off with muscle growth. When your goal is to build muscle, you need to rest around 1 to 2 minutes between sets most of the time. Let me explain why. When your goal is to build muscle, you obviously want to train in the medium to higher rep range as discussed in my previous video. And when you're training in that rep range, you're obviously going to take around 40 to 60 seconds to complete your set. And as discussed earlier, your body will use the anaerobic energy system for fuel. And the anaerobic energy system usually takes around 1 to 2 minutes to recover, and that is why you should rest for 1 to 2 minutes between sets when trying to build muscle. But there's a different scenario for squats and deadlifts. You see, when you do exercises like squats, deadlifts, lunges, they're very taxing on your central nervous system and your cardiovascular system. So a good set of squats or a good set of deadlifts might leave you out of breath and you might be gasping for air after that set. And if you jump right into the next set after a minute of rest, you know what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to complete that set. You're not going to be able to achieve muscular failure because your lungs won't allow you to do that because you'll be so much out of breath. And that is why I recommend you that you rest around 3 to 5 minutes when you do exercises like squats and deadlifts to get your CNS recovered, to get your cardio recovered, because we're in the gym to build muscle. We're not in there to do cardio. You want to make sure that you're resting enough so that in the next set you can take your muscles to muscular failure, because at the end of the day, that is what causes the most growth. Now, on the other hand, there are some exercises where you only want to rest around 30 seconds. So for example, if you're doing an exercise like wrist curls or calf raises, 30 seconds of rest is more than enough to recover. Because these exercises don't really tax your CNS or your cardio. Just complete the set, get that lactate out of your system, and do the set again. Now, I know there are a lot of people that say that you should rest around 3 minutes between sets no matter what exercise you're doing, because when you rest longer, you'll be able to lift more in the next set, and lifting more equals more volume equals more gains. But what you people don't understand is that volume is not everything when it comes to muscle growth. Things like intensity, taking your set to and even beyond failure is what matters the most. And if I'm able to do that after a minute or two of rest, I don't really need to rest longer just so that I can squeeze out a couple more reps. So for example, if I'm doing a set of bicep curls and I'm able to lift out 12 reps in the first set, if I rest only a minute and I hit the muscle again and I'm only able to do, let's say, around 10 reps, but I achieve failure on the 10th rep, it really won't make any difference. Because just like I told you, taking the muscle to failure is more important than volume. So my advice to you is that if your CNS is recovered and your cardio is recovered, there's really no need to take very long rest periods. So the bottom line is, when you're training your calves and forearms, rest for 30 to 60 seconds. When you're training the rest of your body part, you're doing bicep curls, tricep push downs, shoulder press, anything, rest for about 1 to 2 minutes. And if you're doing an exercise like squats or deadlifts, rest around 3 to 5 minutes to make sure that your CNS is properly recovered. Okay, so now let's talk about strength training. When you're training for strength, you want to rest around 3 to 5 minutes between sets, but not always. When you're training for strength, your goal is obviously to lift heavy weights. And for that, you need a lot of rest and recovery. If you recall a little bit, I just told you that when you're doing a very intense exercise for a very short amount of time, you need the phosphagen energy system to provide you energy. So when you're doing your big lifts, when you're doing your 1 rep max, 2 rep max, 3 rep max, you want your phosphagen energy system to be completely recovered so that you are able to lift as heavy as possible. And to recover all of that, you need around 3 to 5 minutes to rest. But there's always a but. But if you think that you need a little more time to recover, sure, go ahead, take a few minutes off. It's okay. Because if you're not mentally prepared for the lift and you still think that you need at least a minute or two to rest, go ahead. Take rest periods of even 7 minutes, 8 minutes, it's fine. The bottom line is that when you're training for strength, make sure that your CNS is recovered, your cardio is recovered, and you're mentally prepared for the next lift. Okay, now let's talk about weight loss. If you want to lose weight, rest around 1 to 2 minutes between sets, but if you're doing squats or deadlifts, rest for about 3 to 5 minutes. Wait a minute. I just said the same thing about muscle growth. Why am I repeating the same thing for weight loss? It is because, as discussed in my previous video, when you're training for weight loss, it's the same as building muscle. The only difference is that when you're trying to lose fat, you want to decrease your calories and you want to be in that calorie deficit. The rest is pretty much the same. Do the same workouts as building muscle. Again, check out that video on fat loss, it'll help you. There you have it, guys. How long should you rest between sets? A little review. When you're trying to build muscle, you want to rest for about 30 to 60 seconds when you're doing exercises like wrist curls or calf raises. You want to rest for about 1 to 2 minutes when you're doing exercises like bicep curls, tricep push down, shoulder press, bench press, even leg extensions, pretty much every exercise. But if you're doing squats or deadlifts or lunges and you think that your CNS isn't recovered in 2 minutes, you can rest a little longer. Maybe about 3 minutes, maybe about 4 minutes. It's okay. Then for strength gain, you want to rest around 3 to 5 minutes on average. But again, if you think that you need a little more time to mentally prepare yourself for the next lift, go ahead and take a few more minutes off. And lastly, for weight loss, do the same thing as I told you about building muscle. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section below. I'll be happy to respond. This is Mohammed West, fitnesssapiens.com.